Al,
Mm-hmm.
is your dream the same as everyone's dream?
Probably not.
That's not good. That's not going to bode well for today's episode.
It's true.
Because we have to have everyone's dream be my dream.
That's selfish.
Yes. I will not disagree with you. Hello, welcome to this week's episode. Jared now watched Nijigasaki Love Live, Nijigasaki High School Idol Club. I forgot the name of the show for a hot second there.
Oh no.
It is episode 11 of this, where we were talking about season 1, episode number 11, called Everyone's Dream My Dream. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
Let's talk about this episode, which was an episode.
Yep, sure was an episode.
Glad we can agree on that. I don't remember where we begin. I think it's in the student council office.
Room
Okay, cool. I
putting their
remembered.
proposal in.
Yes, they're proposing the school idol festival.
They be Kasumi and you.
Yes. The student council president is there along with her subordinates, the vice president, and then the two twins that are there.
Probably like secretary and treasurer.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Those are common roles, right?
I think so. They go through the proposal. They're like, well, this is interesting. The vice president's like, what's a school idol? Sets is like, oh, it's an idol that, it's a normal girl who does idol stuff. And she's like, oh, do you I don't, okay, so this is a weird line that immediately follows that. The vice president's like, oh, you know a lot about this subject, don't you? From one line. That is a very generic line.
Like, you seem very knowledgeable about this.
It says, it's like, I mean, I'm the president, so I have to have a good knowledge of, like, what our clubs are about.
She's like, oh, well, I need to study up like the president.
I was like, that's not, I wouldn't say, if you told me just, like, the very basic definition of something, I wouldn't be like, oh, wow, you're knowledgeable at this.
Right.
I was like, okay, you know what it is.
Or maybe, like, I don't know, maybe she got the proposal ahead of time and researched it. Who knows?
Yeah, it's real weird. But regardless, they look through it and they're like, so you don't have a venue. There really isn't, like, a general, like course of action of what you're doing.
You don't know which schools you're collaborating with.
You don't know what schools you're collaborating with, so, like, you got to figure that stuff out before we're going to accept this. It's like, oh, if we do that, are you gonna accept it? And they're like, yeah, which is, again, weird. I don't think they would immediately be like, yeah, if you do that, we're gonna accept it, because maybe there's something weird in there.
Right, like you'd have to check to make sure that all the things that they bring to the table after they've fixed these errors are correct and done properly.
So that's how that goes. You and Kasumi go back to the club room and they're like, oh, we thought it would be easy to get through this. And this is like,
might be.
I couldn't do anything even though I'm the president. Oh no. So basically they're like, all right, we got to work together to figure out, or just basically kind of check off what they want accomplished for the most part. So they go around, like, scouting different locations, which essentially is just, like, all of the locations they've performed at and, like, the school auditorium. I would assume that was that place.
Yeah.
So you get, like, a little shot by shot montage of, like, hey, we performed here, we performed here, we performed here.
Here are the stairs.
Yeah. They still don't know exactly how or where they want to perform, though, because everyone has, like, a different idea.
Mm-hmm.
Kasumi mentions how she wanted to perform at the stairs because that was where they were first going to perform as a group.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I always wanted to perform here. And then they go back to working on stuff. They eventually meet up with some of the girls from Shinonome and Toho, and are like, here's our proposal. We would like you to join us in this festival. Haruka's like, oh, I heard this from my sister. I'm real excited for it. Yay! And then the one girl's like, oh my god, I would really like to share the stage with Karen again. And then Karen just turns into the one girl from Nozaki-kun and just is like, oh, would you now? And just, like, cups her chin in her hand.
Yep. She's like, oh, you're a fan of mine?
And then that girl just, like,
yeah, she basically just melts. Karen knows what she's doing.
It's true.
She basically turns into, like, what Anju does whenever they do, like, the things where Anju has to, like, try and woo people.
the Ikemen's segments.
Yeah, basically she just did that.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's great.
So they have a good idea now of like, so we have schools that we're gonna have working with us, but still no venue idea. Kasumi brings forth this box that she made, the Kasamine box. That's just
box.
her, like a picture or like a box that's made of to look like herself, and just like has like, where would you like me to perform? She's like, oh, I've got it, guys. I put this box out and it's gonna be full of stuff for us. Don't worry. And then she opens it up and there's nothing inside. She's like,
You's like, well, it is summer vacation, so not a whole lot of people come around. And Kasumi basically just like shoves her face into Yu's chest and starts crying.
And the other's like, well, it was a good idea. It's a cute box. And then she's like, yeah, it is, because it looks like me.
I, at one point, like, adds a piece of paper over the face of the box, and it's like, hey.
It's like a general, like, hey, where would you like all of us to perform? And Kazumi's like, wait, no!
My face!
My face. Rina's like, oh, right. People aren't going to really know about this because it's summer vacation. So she gets started on working on, like, making a website to, like, kind of get the word out more. Mm-hmm. And then some of her friends from her homeroom show up, and they're like, hey, we were with the baking club and made some cookies. You want some cookies? And Rina's like, yeah, cool.
Those cookies look great. They're shaped like, the first set I think is shaped like her and
Ayumu.
Okay. And then has like rainbows and stuff too.
Yeah.
They look
so
great.
The other girls are like, oh, you're working on this. Can we tell our friends? And Rina at first is like, we kind of haven't been approved yet, so maybe hold off. But then eventually she's like, screw it. Tell your friends.
We'll do whatever it takes to make this happen.
Yeah.
Which also, we talked about this. Like, I love that she has friends now. Like, I love that these girls have become her actual friends and they hang around with her, as opposed to it like just being her in the school idol club.
Yeah.
Like, she actually has genuine friends that she's made now that she's like figured out how to interact with them, and I love it.
And she shows her determined board.
Determine.
And then one of the other girls is like, where's Ai Senpai?
Yep.
I wanted her to try some of these cookies.
Yep. So many crushes in this.
It's true. I don't remember what happens after this.
She says that Ai is outside training, and that shows them running.
Yes.
And then at one point, Ayumu sees Yu and was like, Yu, what up?
But then Yu's like going to hang out with some of the other girls and walks off a set where Karen's like stretching Kanata out, and Kanata looks like she's just like dangling on Karen's back. Like, ugh.
She basically is. It's great.
So yeah, we get more Ayumu being jealous and fun, totally very real and good drama.
Yeah.
Wink.
Friends are allowed to have more than one friend.
Yes, it's true. I don't remember what happens after this. I know eventually they show up at a bus stop at one point, and then Yu's like, I gotta go back to the school to finish up a meeting. We're still working on this proposal, and then Ayumu's sad.
Yep.
Like, wait.
Yeah, there was a point also earlier in the episode where she's like, hey, I can help you do this. And Ayumu's like, no, I've got this. It's fine. You gotta work on this other thing.
You gotta get prepared for the festival. I don't have to actually do that, so I'm just gonna work on the proposal, so no worries.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of that happening.
Yeah. Eventually they iron out their proposal. They get the ironing board out and make sure it's all, crisp, no wrinkles.
They flip the Kasamine box.
Yeah, because Kasumi comes in and is like, oh my god, guys, we have an emergency. This box is overflowing. Please help. So like they show off the proposal and they're like, okay, you got everything kind of down pat that we wanted, but there's still no venue here. And they're like, yeah, we still haven't kind of figured out a venue quite yet. But then we figured out like, we were trying to make this festival to be like this culmination of a dream for idols. But then we got this box back and we realized that's not necessarily the case. Like, it's going to be like, we need it to be a culmination of the dreams of like idols and fans of idols.
Which I think it's the vice president. She's like, oh yeah, I started looking into it, and I think I'm a big fan of Setsuna.
It's like, and then she's like says something like, "Oh, I bet Setsuna would be very happy to have you as a fan." And then the freshman's like, "Wait a minute, are you also a fan?" And it's like, how oblivious are you?
She's just like sweating over there while making like that meme face.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh yes, totally, I'm a
Big
fan."
fan.
But like the box that had like a bunch of like notes in it, like, "Oh, I'm a fan of this person's songs." Like there's one's like, "Oh, I like Kanata songs," so like, and that helped us give us the right push we needed to go to the inner high for basketball club and everything. And then there's like, just kind of just like the same kind of general statements for like other girls as well. Mm-hmm. Just like, "Oh, I'm a fan of this person. I'm a fan of this person." So they're like, we're, instead of just choosing one venue, we're going to kind of split it and do venues based on like where people want to perform. So it's like a festival, not just, oh, we're here doing a concert. Mm-hmm. Hence the name, School Idol Festival. But that is enough for Setsuna to bring out the big red stamp and smack it and hit approved. Mm-hmm. And then they go back to celebrate in the club room. They're like, "Yay, we did it! Woo!" Aimu gets to feel sad again, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy drinks." And Setsuna's like, "Oh, come with you!" Yep. And Aimu's like, "Oh, okay." And then she gets to be very jealous and be like, "Hey, what were you guys doing at the training camp?" And Setsuna's like, "Oh, I mean, we were just talking. She played the piano for a bit. She was telling me how she's been practicing it, and it was like she's getting better." And I was like, "That's cool. Nice." And then Naomi's like, "I didn't know she played the piano. That's a side of her I didn't know." And it's like, girl, you got an unhealthy relationship going on right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, that's toxic.
Mm-hmm. And then presumably they just keep walking. And then we cut to Aimu at home, and she flops on her bed and is like, "Oh, I'm sad, real sad." And she gets a text from Yu, and Yu's like, "Hey, come here, I gotta tell you something.
Come over."
And then Aimu goes over to Yu's house. She's like, "Hey, you haven't been here in a while. Look at this." And she sees there's a piano in Yu's room, and Aimu's like, "Oh, you got a piano, huh?" He was like, "Yeah, I've been practicing that a little bit. You know, I want to tell you it when I got better, but I haven't been feeling like I've been getting better. So, things happen."
But I got something else to tell you.
Yes. Aimu's like, "Oh, you just tell me about the piano again?" And he was like, "No."
At one point, she also just straight up asked, like, "Do you like Setsuna more than me," or something like that.
And you just like, "No."
No. She just says no.
Just straight up like, "No." She's like, "I wanted to tell you this, like, I feel like I've started to come up with my own dream." And then Aimu's like, "No!" Tackles her to the bed, puts her in a head and arm choke, and tries to choke her out. No, she doesn't do that much. But
she like puts herself on top of her, but also like locks her foot, like I guess it's her left leg, in with her thighs.
Yeah, she's getting in that one leg lock so she can crank in that choke more. She's got one hook in. She's ready for the tap.
You was just staring at the ceiling like, what?
Help. We get to see Kid Yu in her Po shirt.
Yeah.
Instead of Ho, it's Po.
That's funny.
And Aimu's just like, I want you to be just with me. Only me.
And it shows their phones like on top of each other.
Yeah, and that's basically how the episode ends.
Yeah. So we texted about this a little bit, like right after it ended. And I think we can both agree this is pretty much queer baiting.
Oh, I would agree 100% with that. Look, you watch enough anime, you see the signs of this stuff, because usually this isn't how they like. There's a 1% chance this could go that way.
Yeah.
I don't believe it because of A, the series, and B, just anime in general. Um,
I mean, I feel like that would, I mean, for a lack of better word, mess with like the live image
yeah,
that like these are supposed to be your idols and
totally.
they can't be each other's idols.
And I think like as well, like it would be a much more interesting story to tell other compared to what it is now, where it's just like half-baked manufactured drama where Ayumu is just real toxic about her friendship with you. And like
It's super messed up.
it just doesn't feel like that character.
Mm-mm.
Like it feels like they had to do this because they needed some little drama hook near the end here to be like, oh, everything's not going to go according to plan, maybe. And like, I just don't feel like that's what Ayumu would do.
It's a lot more natural in All Stars how they pull off her
Mm-hmm.
like jealousy and feelings of like not being good enough, and
Yeah.
like it's much better there at how it's pulled off as opposed to it just seeming like she's kind of a creeper here and like might actually murder her.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just a byproduct of just them kind of presumably kind of have to rush this to the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just feels like this kind of just came out of nowhere.
I mean,
Especially
they've been
last
building
episode.
up that like she's feeling left out, but it just escalated quickly.
Yeah, like I just don't feel like it feels like if this was an actual thing,
Mm-hmm.
like these characters would talk about it other than not just be like, eh.
I think part of the problem, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on this, in my opinion, is that basically what happened is that we got character development on Ayumu like in the first episode.
And
we
then
didn't
never again.
We didn't get anything else about her really until last week's episode, and
Yeah.
it was just like, oh man, I'm jealous.
And again, I think that's just the downside of having to do like
The character
episodes for 3/4 of the series.
Yeah.
And another weird thing about this is that, like, this goes in kind of contrast with how they present you in All Stars, where they're like, yes, she's a music course student.
Yeah.
I don't think, and they haven't really presented that here. Like they in the first
She's
episode,
a general course student.
they're like, oh, you're a general course student, but like, it just seems weird.
Yeah. I am not a fan of toxic people in general.
Bold statement.
Well, I mean, like,
no, I understand what you mean.
It's really, really off-putting for me when I see characters like this because I'm like, ooh, that's big red flag. I don't like that. Like, it's not cute. It's not like, oh man, look how much she cares about her friend. It's like she's really, really being abusive to her friend here. Like she is very, very toxic.
Like, I think this would have been better if they had that scene and where, like, you know, IMU asked, like, oh, do you like said some more to me now? And you're just like, no, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
Yeah.
Because, like, I liked how, like, you basically gave her, like, no, like, hint of, like, wavering on that or anything. She was very straight to the point, like, no.
No.
That's not the case here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just...
Like, imagine being this upset over somebody else knowing that your friend plays piano.
Right, like... We're best friends.
We are best friends.
There are probably things that, for both of us, that we still don't know about each other.
Correct.
Because that's just how human relationships are.
Right.
I mean, again, these are high school kids, so like high school kids are stupid.
Correct.
And will blow out these kind of things and overblow them in humongous proportions, but still.
Mm-hmm.
This just feels like manufactured drama for the sake of drama's sake.
And it's such a bummer because then you have good stuff like Rena having friends in this. So I was like, yay, look at this. Like these are being like they're truly interested in her and what she's doing and like they're being good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a result of character development.
Yeah.
And then we get this and I'm like, oh, okay. Yee.
Yeah. Yeah.
One positive though is that we kind of got the like photobomb Kasumi like in the bottom right corner of this episode.
Good.
That was pretty good. I was real happy about that.
Yeah. You want to talk about some trivia?
Let's
I
talk
feel
about
like
some
a lot of
trivia.
this we've kind of already talked about.
Okay.
Cat theme, cat in card.
Yay, cat.
Got a cat under her umbrella. That was good.
I like that. It was a good palate cleanser after the toxicity there.
Yeah. Yu's childhood appearance makes a debut. Yeah, we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit of conjecture and a little bit of feel it maybe a fan theory, but the close-ups of the road signs are considered as a metaphor to IMU's relationship with Yu. The direction indication sign symbolizes both IMU and Yu's different feelings. The red light on the traffic light symbolizes IMU reaching to the dead end when it comes to her plummeted hope, and the emergency exit sign symbolizes IMU's last hope of reaching to her. But again, like, what is her hope in this situation? Yeah. What is her last hope? Is it just like, oh, well, you're going to just forego this club and just be with me?
Yeah.
Like, that just, again, not good. Here's some continuity notes. Like we talked about, Rena's classmates from The Shape of Smiles come back and give her cookies.
Yay.
And there's also, we see the cookies later on that have everyone.
Everyone, yeah, that was nice.
Let's talk about the real big cameo in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The Unicorn Gundam. Which makes this cameo once again since the first Thrill episode, but this time it's in the Destroy mode configuration.
Oh my god.
Shout out to the Unicorn Gundam.
Yep.
Gundam Unicorn, it's a good show. And Setsuna mentions that Yu's piano skills have been improved and summer begins. Which she said that last week. Which Yusel told her that last week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was not a good episode.
Nope, it was not. It had moments I was like, yay, but for overall, it's just not a good episode.
Which, again, is bad because we have 2 episodes left.
Right.
So
Yes.
You have to imagine that they're going to have to figure out some way to wrap all of this up in 2 episodes and make it seem coherent in a way that it definitely does not seem like it's on the path right now.
Right.
And then have the big festival all in 2 episodes. That's not good.
Man, you remember the first scene where we had Chase and how good that was?
It was real good.
We should go back to that.
If only we could go back to those days of October. Yeah. Hey, maybe they'll turn this around, but man, this was not a good sign of where we're going for the last 2 episodes.
No, and I mean, like, they've done the whole like friendship jealousy thing, like Chica and Yo had it.
They've done it in every series.
They have, but like Yo was not at all like this.
No.
Like,
because like there was at least like a reason for Yo's jealousy, because she's like, oh, Rico's kind of becoming more of this partner for Chica in all these cases. Like I have like genuine reasons of why I feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then here it's just like, oh, I saw Setsuna and you together. I'm now automatically jealous.
It's weird because you spending time with like everybody in the club.
Yeah. You's coming up with a new dream. I'm jealous.
Grrr. You also maintained massive dude bro energy in this episode.
Absolutely.
That was a thing.
Because of course.
Yep.
But yeah, next time we will discuss season 1 episode number 12. It's called Blossoming Feelings.
Hopefully it's better. Which
certainly doesn't help the queerbait theory here.
Yeah, it does not.
But yeah, hopefully that episode's better.
Hope so.
Hopefully we are heading towards a decent finale and not just a
wet fart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next week, the penultimate episode of Love Live Nijigasaki High School Idol Club. But for now, if you would like more from us, go to seasonlanguagecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Season Language Checkup and Season Language Checkup OVA. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you want more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. And buy our book, One Shining Moment, a critical analysis of Love Live Sunshine, on Amazon.com. So yeah, next time we'll figure out how jealousy stuff hampers the club and the IMUU friendship, and how will all of this get resolved in time for the School Idol Festival?
Ba-ba-bum.